What is going on, y'all? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Making the Case. I'm your host and one and only Anthony Denmark, founder of Becoming JD. Of course, our goal, our purpose is to make sure that you guys have the tools and the resources you need to be able to manifest your lawyer dreams. I see a lot of friends, family, and kin folks in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm sending prayers and positive vibes to everybody out there. Yo, ho! The the Colorado mini law school program began today. I want you guys to fill up my chat box. I've got a lot of stories from people who've already started the Colorado mini law school program. I'm so happy to see that you guys are enjoying it. I think we had like 352 people sign up, so that's excellent. This week has already been wonderful. I think we got like 4 more people into law school. And so I'm excited, man. I hope you guys are motivated and encouraged. To everybody out there that just took the LSAT, congratulations. Man, sometimes it's not about killing it. It's really about surviving. So as our room fills up, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Britt said that it's going on right now. Tamir says she's in it right now. So this is awesome, you guys. And so as our room fills up, of course, I want you guys to let us know where it is that you're viewing our session from. And also, let us know, share one question that you may have that you may be going through right now. Because I know also during this time, pressure is high, you know. We got a lot of people that's thinking about the next 5 months. The next 5 months, you're either going to be moving or relocating to somebody's law school. What's going on, Laurel? What's going on, Brianna? What's going on, Miss Coleman? What's going on, Adion? And so as our room fills up, let us know where you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down over here in the Midwest in Missouri. Chastity's over here in Washington, D.C. Miracle, thank you so much for joining us. And so, yeah, right now the pressure is high. The pressure is high, and a lot of people are making the choice of either to fold or either to keep pressing through. And I know that a lot of people are really being tempted to just fold. And I just want to tell you, please do not do that. Please do not do that, because that pressure is going to be there. Am I right, Laurel? That pressure is going to be there, Tamara. We just got to be able to power through and break through. Understand this. There's a law school that will accept you, flaws and all. We just got to be able to find it. What's going on, fam? What's going on, Britt? What's going on? Kendrick, what's going on, y'all? So as our room fills up, I'm excited, man. We have an amazing guest. She's been blessing us in not just Instagram, but also as well on her TikTok, sharing her experiences and sharing her stories, and also sharing her amazing acceptances. And I wanted to be able to get her on to be able to share her story with you, because I want you guys to be able to understand what's going on, Alex. Man, Alex, you got some amazing motivational stories that really just filled my soul. Continue to be inspired and continue to inspire other people. And so what's going on, Legally Black? What's going on, Mason? And so as you see in the pen, man, we got 4 more spots left for our Ultimate Law School application bundle. And I think it's like 50% off. And so make sure you guys go to the link in the bio. I have 4 more spots left, so make sure you go ahead and scoop that, because I want to be celebrating more acceptances. Literally, one of my guys got into law school today, and I was like, man, can I share it? He was like, nah, fam, hold up. I want to get a couple more acceptances before you share. And so as this moment right now, I want you guys to be able to understand that elusive acceptance is yours if you're willing to be able to walk through those uncomfortable spaces. And understand this, if you put it off to next year, guess what? You're going to find yourself back in that same uncomfortable space. The thing is that we have to be able to learn how to live and thrive in that uncomfortable space, knowing that it's something that's not going to be lasting for a long time. But it's just going to be something that we're just going to have to be able to manifest and break through. I want to shout out huge congratulations to all my law students out there who made it to their first semester of finals and are pushing forward in the spring. To my guys out there, to my queens out there who may have been dismissed from school, I also want to throw a shout out and prayer to you guys, because I want you guys also to feel encouraged as well, because law school is hard. But the question is, if in fact you want this dream, you have to be stubborn with it and say, I'm not going to take no for an answer. And so I want you guys to be encouraged too. I want you guys to think, to my law students, to people out there, understand there's somebody that got dismissed from law school this fall. There's somebody that's not there. And just look around the room and maybe you go and reach out to them and say, I'm praying for you, fam. I'm praying for you, sis. because right now is a very trying time for everybody, wherever they are in their journey. And I know we've created tribes to try to help you guys. And I love to see the interaction of how we're all supporting each other. So if in fact you're not part of the tribe yet, man, go to the link in the bio. Join the LSAT Ain't Got Nothing on Me tribe. Join Dismissed But Not Done tribe. Join the JD Loading tribe. All these tribes are a community of people that are all here who look like me and you, all focused on one goal: to help you guys win, to help you guys feel encouraged. Because I don't want you guys to feel like you're alone on this journey, fam. I don't want to be ministering to y'all, but I know at times it can feel that way. And so these communities are something for you guys to be able to connect, work together. It's amazing. I'm seeing people in the tribe doing things out on the West Coast, out in LA. That's amazing. I see other people in the tribe. I know they're having a West Coast Consortium in Seattle, Washington. I have 3 people who are going to be connected. If you want to go to that and meet up with them, let me know. We know they got something going on down in H-Town on the 27th at Thurgood Marshall School of Law. If you're looking to go with somebody with that, go ahead and holler at me. And have a whole tribe, a community of people that are here focused. You're going to the Goals and Stores events that are happening in D.C. at the law firm, and you want to be able to have people to go with you on that trip. I got like 4 or 5 other people who are going. And all free 99. So I want you guys to know that you are not alone on this journey. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and try to get our girl on so we can go ahead and get some questions answered. All right, let's see here. Where's she at? There we go. All right, and so as our room continues to fill up, I want to also make sure and answer some questions. Chassie Elizabeth said, is it too early for me to purchase the Ultimate Law School Bond if I'm not applying to law school until next year? No, it's not too early. In fact, you can purchase it now and you can save it. So that way you're able to collect those savings. And I think you save like $900. So you can go ahead and lock in that deal. You can go ahead and save it and then be like, Anthony, I'm ready. And then we can start from there. Okay. So that could be something that's fantastic. What's going on, Brandon Guy? What's going on, Rena? All right. So we have some other questions here in the chat box. Let's see here. Oh, Alexandra said she paused the mini law school event to join us here. Okay. Miracle said, my undergrad GPA is low. Take some post-back classes to improve it, or still go for it and apply for these schools. Well, I'll say this to you, Miracle. Like, one thing that you can't never change, Miracle, is going to be your GPA. And I know a lot of times we have to just accept that, you know what, my GPA is my GPA. However, it becomes important, Miracle, for us then to say, well, what can I do to enhance the other parts of my application, right? Because I had a 0.6 GPA, sis, and so it was nothing I could do to change that, the 0.6 from law school when I got dismissed. So I had to find other ways to enhance my application. And so other ways that I did that, Miracle, was by literally, let's go do some free Ivy League courses that you get in the link in my bio, free 99. Let me go ahead and also go and hit up, let's see, legal aid in my area. Where you're from, Miracle? There's a legal aid office near you. So what we have to be able to say is, okay, my GPA is low, because no matter how long you wait, your GPA is not going to change. But what can change is also the rest, the other parts of your application. And also what can also change, Miracle, is really going to be, the selling point is going to be your addendum, and you try to explain what happened with your low GPA, and also with your letters of recommendation, Miracle, which are going to do play a huge role in being able to help the law school be able to frame and see who you are now, right? So when I had a 0.6, Miracle, I had to make sure and submit letters that showed the law school who I am now. Because no matter if you wait till next year or apply now, your GPA is going to be the same. And so I encourage you, if you want more advice, go ahead and shoot me a DM and we can talk about it offline. Because I want you to realize that every year people are getting into law schools with so-called low GPAs. In fact, I have somebody right now in law school that just successfully finished her first year of law school, and she had a 2.3 GPA. And so it's possible for you to be, but it was important for her to be able to show law schools who she is now. So I hope that answered that question. But let's go ahead and see what's rolling here. To say, if the LSAT is below the average, does writing an addendum help? It depends, Great question, Track One Love. If in fact you're going to be writing an addendum for your LSAT, and I think I've explained this to Kendrick a whole bunch of times, but it's going to come down to, what are you going to say? Because if you're going to say that, you know what, I have a history of not doing well on standardized tests, well, you have to also be able to support that with other additional evidence, track one love, that even though I have a history of not doing well on standardized tests, that I also have a good history of outperforming those scores that people may often project upon me. So for example, and no shade here, no shame here. When I took the SAT, y'all, I got like a 19, or an ACT, I got a 990, all below scores. But I had a history prior to that where I was on the dean's list and all these other type of things. So I was able to demonstrate to, at that time, colleges, to be able to demonstrate how, even though I had this low, this below average SAT or ACT score, that I had a history of being able to overcome it. All right, awesome. Let's see here. I hope that was a great question. So let's try to see if we can get our girl on one more time. Aqmera, where you at, sis? Let's see if we can get her on. And so let's see as we continue. More questions. Chastity says, does getting an MBA enhance your law school application? You're damn right it does, Chastity. I know for me, for example, one of the ways that it will enhance your application, because it's going to give law schools something else to be able to look at other than just your GPA. Now, understand this, Chastity. They, of course, are still going to see your undergrad GPA. But by you being able to have another GPA in a graduate program that shows growth and also show proof that you've been able to evolve past your past in which you may have had struggles academically, then that's a huge receipt that shows your growth and your evolution. All right. All right. So here we go. We got another question. Aisha, thank you, sis. She said, I'm a 1L. How do I deal with debt after law school? Great question. So one of the ways, and we're going to try to get a camera again, let's see here. But one of the ways that we try to be able to deal with debt is oftentimes we may find ourselves participating or trying to seek out employment that offers opportunities for us to do loan forgiveness programs. And so one of the things I encourage for you to do is also, one of the things to also strongly consider, Aisha, is also to look into scholarship programs that you can be able to apply to while you are in law school. Now, I'll tell you this, Aisha, shockingly enough, but oftentimes the ability to be able to get scholarships is actually a lot easier once you get into law school, because oftentimes people do not have a preference or even are even making any effort to apply for scholarships for while they're in law school. So because of that, the competition isn't as fierce. And in fact, when I was in law school, Aisha, and I only had like maybe a 2.8 GPA my first year, I was able to get about $15,000 in additional scholarships just by simply applying, because not a lot of people were actually applying for scholarships at that time. And also, Aisha, what you want to also look into, sis, is also go and talk to financial aid and see about any potential type of grant opportunities that you may be able to qualify and apply for. So I hope that answered that question as well. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right, let's see. I think I answered all the questions in the chat. Okay, about debt, I answered that question. We got DC in the house. We got Miami in the house. We got Alexandria in the house. Let's see here. I think I answered all the questions thus far. Awesome. All right, thank you. Awesome. All right, so one of the things that I oftentimes understand, and we're going to wait for our guest to be able to get here. I'm going to try her again and see what's up. And let me also send her a line. Let's see here. All right. So one of the other things that we were going to talk about tonight is I want you guys to also be able to realize that even though at times you may think, when we look at the ABA 509 forms, you guys know what an ABA 509 form is? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. All right. So with those ABA 509 forms, oftentimes it gives us an idea specifically in regards to what our chances are of being able to get into a particular law school. And oftentimes one of the things that really happens to a lot of people is when we see those numbers, the 25th percentile, the 75th percentile, oftentimes, Miracle, what happens is it makes us become very, very discouraged. We're like, well, damn, I can't find no schools that have my scores. I can't find no schools that have my GPA. I'm screwed. I can't get into law school. And I oftentimes notice it because oftentimes what happens is I want you guys to be able to realize that that is oftentimes, there's so many different exceptions to the rule, you guys. There are so many different exceptions to the rule, right? And so what I want you guys to be able to understand is that that is just a snapshot. More likely than not, and I try to post it in the Instagram stories and also in the post, is that literally law schools, literally the American Bar Association, you guys, have given law schools the permission, I guess you could say it, has given law schools the free will, you guys, to be able to accept law students regardless of their LSAT score or GPA. They say up to 10%. And in fact, we just made a post, I think last week, you guys, where Georgetown said, man, bump it. We ain't even going to look at LSAT for 10 people in this class coming up. We're not even going to look at LSAT scores. We're not even going to look at GREs. We're not going to look at anything. They said, we just want you guys to apply. And so I want you guys to be able to understand. And one of the things that somebody said very brilliantly in the chats was that's something that law schools have actually been doing for a long time. Literally, there are people in law schools right now all across the country with the scores and GPAs that you think don't give you a chance. But oftentimes the reason why they're in there is because they've been able to become intentional enough to find out what it is that what their chances are of getting into law school. Now, listen, man, I understand that, of course, we are definitely in a day and age where we try to not have to shoot our shot and actually call law schools. We're kind of reluctant to do it, you know. We're afraid of what they're going to say. Am I right, Sammy? Am I right, Kate Prize? Well, oftentimes, one of the things I want to strongly encourage for you guys to do is, listen, man, you guys have worked very, very hard to get this far in this process. I tell people once you get to applying, you probably sacrifice about 2 to 3 years just getting here. And I want you to make sure that you guys are actually are going to be making investments in law schools that are going to invest in you, okay? Because I could tell you guys right now, I've had several students who initially thought that maybe I can't go to George Washington, maybe I can't go to American University, because when I looked at the 25th percentile and I looked at the 75th percentile, I didn't see my scores. But guess what? I have students who graduated from those schools now who were not in the 25th percentile, were not in the 75th percentile. All right, legally posh. But the way they were able to do it, thank you for joining us, Asia, is because they were able to identify law schools who actually give those people opportunities, right? Because every law school out there in the country, according to the ABA mandate, is they're allowed to admit students regardless of LSAT score and regardless of GPA, right? Regardless of LSAT scores and regardless of GPA. And even though Georgetown made this big official announcement on the American Bar Association Journal, it's actually something that's been in practice for a long time. And so, Miss Firefighter, Miss Police Officer, Miss Officer, you know what I'm talking about, all love over here, sis. You know I'm waving at you right now. Mrs. Officer, that means that what I want you guys to be able to do, you guys, is I want you to make a plan tomorrow. All right, you listen to this? You listening, Asia? All right. Tomorrow, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to make a list of all the law schools that you want to go to, and I want you to also include some of the schools that you may have initially thought you didn't have a chance of because of so-called scores or so-called GPAs. And I want you guys to be able to understand, what do they say when you're making an assumption? When you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and me, right? And I want you guys to do this bold move, all right? You listening? And so I want you guys to make a call to all 10 of your schools on your list. I want you to also have a reschool on your list. And I want you to ask them this one pointed question. I want you to ask them, little dramatic. I want you to ask them, in the past 2 application cycles, Shamar, have you accepted someone with my LSAT score or my GPA? And I want to tell you guys, you're going to be shocked. Now, you will get some schools, they'll say, no, that's fine. That's fine. But you're going to be shocked at how many schools say yes. You will be shocked also, Shamar, of how many schools you actually end up finding out have conditional programs on the low that they don't tell nobody about. You get that? Did you get what I just said, Asia? And so I want you guys to be able to understand that, right? And so I want us to understand that we got to step out our comfort zone. I think one of the things I've really been trying to preach to you guys in the post is that so many opportunities out there for you guys outside of your comfort zone. All right, so many different opportunities, okay? And so I want you to call 10 schools and call them and ask them these 2 questions. Have you accepted some of my LSAT score? Have you accepted some of my GPA? And let's see here. It was meant for me to see this live. Awesome. And K Prize, I'm telling you, because I think I made a post, you guys, where I literally said, K Prize, only 15 law schools offer conditional acceptance program. And I'm sitting here like, nah, that ain't right. The math ain't mathing. Am I right? The math is not mathing. And so I want you guys to be able to understand that oftentimes these opportunities are kept on the hush, where they only are offering it to certain people, offering it to friends, families, and relatives. And so I want you guys to realize, because they're not banking on you calling and asking these questions. They're banking on you guys actually making the assumption and understand this, man. If you call a school and they tell you no, Anna, what do you lose? What do you lose? What do you lose, Jody? What do you lose, Sammy? You don't lose nothing. But let's say you call the school that you initially thought you didn't have a chance at, and they tell you, you know what, yeah, we have accepted some students in the past, and this is what they've had to do. By asking this simple 2 questions, one of my students, literally, the admissions director said, hold on, come here. Let's talk about what I need for you to write in your application so I can make sure I know it's you, so I can make sure that we look out for you. You don't get this far, you guys, by being scary. And if you own this live, fam, man, ain't none of us scared. Now, ain't none of us scary. If we trying to be lawyers, one thing we not is scared. We may be uncomfortably shy around people that we don't know, but ain't none of y'all scared, right? And just by her asking that simple question, she was able to find out the blueprint of what the law school needed for her to have in her application. And they also then told her, they said, and when you apply, make sure you call me so I could be on the lookout for it. These are opportunities that only become available when you step out your comfort zone and shoot your shot. Now, Pop Shorty, I keep it up. There's going to be some schools that are going to be like, no. You're going to be like, damn, for real? For real? And, you know, you can curse them out in our head, man, F you. I don't want to go to your school anyway, right? I don't want to go to your school anyway. Bump y'all. Y'all some haters anyway. But that's fine. But imagine, Saucy P, how much time and energy you're now able to invest in the schools who will invest in you. And at the end of the day, y'all, really what this whole chaotic game is really about is we are overwhelmed as hell trying to find out, can I find a freaking school that will accept me? Am I right? Where am I going to go? I'll go anywhere. You feel what I'm saying? If you feel what I'm saying, put your hand up in the air, man. You feel what I'm saying? Put that hand up in the air, y'all, for real. And what I want you guys to be able to understand is that actually that process is something that you actually are able to control more than you actually realize. You are actually in more control than you realize. You are actually, and oftentimes we do not realize how much power or influence that we have in this process, y'all, until we get accepted, until we get those multiple acceptances. Then we're like, damn, hold on. You're right, I am bad. But I want you guys to be able to understand that oftentimes one of the biggest, like I know the American Bar Association really puts out a lot of statistics. And one of the things they said, the real reason why people aren't getting in law school who look like me and you guys, is because we're applying to wrong schools. And so we have to be able to really try to increase our knowledge and also about certain schools that can give us wonderful opportunities. I know last week we had Angelique on, who went to Washburn, y'all. Washburn. I ain't know black folks lived in Kansas, but clearly they do. And clearly she took a step out of her comfort zone, went to this school, and had a wonderful experience. And so I want you guys to be able to understand that this is an experience that you can have anywhere. I know we got one of my other students, Tiana, holding it down in South Dakota Law School. Got somebody holding it down in Montana Law School. And so there are opportunities out there. And one of the things Shamar said, and there is money too, because some of these schools will definitely drop some bags on bags on bags to try to get you to be able to come to their school. But the thing is, and I'm going to tell people, and I'm sure my clients on here, part of the tribe, have heard this before, and I'm going to say it to you guys with all love, but law schools are only going to know what we share with them. Law schools are only going to know that you want to go there if you shoot your shot. I mean, hell, everybody, we cannot be fearful of what's going to happen next. All I know is I want everybody that's on this chat the same time next year. I don't want you guys to be in the same place where you are right now. I want you guys to be in somebody's law school. I want you guys to be sending me text messages telling me how you killed it your first fall semester. That's what I want for every last one of you guys, because I know that at the end of the day, oftentimes what's happened during this whole damn journey, y'all, is we done lost our confidence. We done forgot how powerful we are because of this damn LSAT that strips us, makes us second guess us, makes us second guess our dreams, make us second guess our worth. Am I right? And I just hear, and oftentimes it takes us so long for us to be able to get back and realize who we are. You know what I mean? And so I want you guys to be able to understand that, because a lot of times what happens, you guys, is we oftentimes say to ourselves, well, got to do the LSAT. LSAT. The LSAT doesn't determine your worth, you guys. You do. There's people, you guys, right now in law school, right now, Pixie D, right now, they got lower scores than you. But what they decided to do was they tried to focus their energy and their attention on trying to elevate all the strengths that they have. It's no secret, you guys, that people have low LSAT scores. It's no secret, you guys, that the LSAT, of course, is racially biased and unfairly, it penalizes people of color who oftentimes score almost 10 points lower than our white brothers and sisters. These are not secrets, you guys. And if these are not secrets, that means these are things that law schools also know about, you guys. And so if in fact they know about it, that means at the end of the day, one of the things I told my man Kendrick, and one of the things I'll tell you guys, is that means that at the end of the day, check this out, and this is going to be all love. Now, you can curse me out, but I can't hear it, so I'm going to say it to you so you guys can't curse me out. But it's all love. It's that at the end of the day, you guys, it won't be because of our LSAT scores. If we don't get into law schools, it's not because of our LSATs. You got that, Jazz? You got that, Jody? If we don't get into law school, it's not going to be because of our LSAT scores, right? If we don't get into law school, it's because we have failed to convince law schools that we could do the work. Now, I've helped students show that they can do the work with 129s. I've helped students show they can do the work with 132s. I've helped students show they can do the work with 138s. And so, you guys, literally, one of the things, think about it like this, Brittany. Your first case as a lawyer is you're representing who? Who you representing, Cash? Who you representing, Ken? Who you representing, K Prize? Yourself. Before you can advocate for anybody else, fam, the first person that you're going to have to advocate for, fam, is you. And a lot of times, fam, when I read your essays and read your things, I say, man, they're not advocating for themselves. Sammy, you know your strengths. Kayla, you know your strengths. Jameen, you know your strengths, fam. But you guess what? I'm going to say that phrase, but law schools are only going to know what we share with them. So they're not going to know about your resilience. They're not going to know about everything that you've overcome. Jameen said, so you telling me my mid 140 score can do it? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. There's people in law schools with those scores. What's going on, Caitlin? There are people in law schools right now with 140s. And in fact, check out the live from last week. Literally, Angelique, who just passed the bar in passed the bar in Kansas and now is barred in Colorado. She had a 144. All right. And so we have people in law. But the thing is, we have to make sure and utilize the space that we have. And I'm sure Caitlin can roll her eyes when I say this right now, but it's on us to be able to show our value, to show them the reason why we're not our LSAT scores. So your first person that you're advocating for as your efforts to become a law student is literally you, right? It's you. And, I have people in law schools right now who have 138, killing the damn thing, doing the damn thing as a 2L. And so, but she was able to get in. He was able to get in because they were able to show that they could do it, right? And so one of the things, if you want to book a session with me, you can go to the link in my bio. I'll show you how to do it. But if you're not able to book a session, I want you to think about it. When you look at your essays, you guys, when you look at your applications, when you look at your resume, I want you to ask this question, Candy. Will you be convinced that you can do it? Will you be convinced that you can do it? If you handed this paper to a stranger in law schools, let's be honest, they strangers. If you would have handed this script to a stranger, Candy, will they be convinced that you can do it? And if you look at it and you're able to be a buck and be like, nah, I got some questions, then that means you got to go back to the drawing board, man. And I tell people, you realize how powerful you are. There's 197 law schools, Ash. What's going on, sis? And so the thing is, we have to make sure that we're crafting our argument. And I know right now I'm working with Caitlin to craft her argument, and we asking questions upon questions. Am I right, Caitlin? But also understand that this is how we're going to go about doing it. And so let's see here. I'm going to try our camera one more time, see what's up with her. In fact, if anybody could, send a text message to, not a text message, send a chat to, let's see here, essentially Aqmera. Tell her that we're waiting for her in the IG Live. I'm going to put it in the chat box so you guys message her and tell her that we're waiting for her to join us. Essentially, I've never done this before, so we'll see what happens. I think it's essentially Aqmera. Did I spell that right? Aqmera. Did I spell it right? I think I spelled it wrong. All right, let's see here. Sorry about this, you guys. Let's see. Okay, I spelled Aqmera. Okay, Aqmera. Different. Essentially. Can I spell essentially right now? Essentially. Aqmera. All right, there you go. Could you guys be so kind and to send a DM to essentially Aqmera to let her know that we're waiting for her to join us in the chat to tell her amazing story. But until then, we'll keep this show rolling, y'all. All right, so let's keep it pumping. All right, so a Pixie by D said, I almost gave up on starting the study after getting a 139 on my first practice test. Yeah, I'll tell you this. When it comes to the LSAT, you guys, oftentimes what we all need, you guys, is we need that reality check that we have to grow. What worked in undergrad, what may have worked in other times, is not going to work before. And so oftentimes we have to get that hit in the face saying that, oh man, I got to make some changes. And so that's one thing I will tell you about the LSAT. It's going to force you to have to make some changes. And Pixie by D, how are things going thus far, so far with the LSAT? Because understand this, I saw a quote today. Someone said, I just want it to be easy. But nothing in life is easy, man. It's just something that's like an acquired taste. All right, K Price says, do you know any splitters who got into law school? Most of the people who I work with, you guys, are splitters, K Price. People who either one have high GPAs or either two people who have low LSAT scores, or people who have low LSAT scores and some who also have low GPAs. Okay, so it's oftentimes it's about what you're going to focus on. If in fact you're going to be a splitter, and it's okay. I think, well, if you're a splitter, the thing is you'd have to be able to own it. Understand that I'm going to have to write an addendum. I have some questions that people are going to have about me. I have to accept that and be able to make sure that I'm going to address it. And like I told you guys, the biggest test to do is if you hand your application to a stranger, sticky stars, would they say, yes, I'll give you a chance? If you were to hand your addendum to someone who has no emotional attachments to you, if they were to read your addendum, Pixie by D, will they say, I want to give her an opportunity? If you're not able to do that, then that means we got to go back to the drawing board, okay? We got to go back to the drawing board. Because what I want you guys to be able to understand is that actually, I want you to think about it like this, Pixie by D. If you have to write an addendum, you want to think about it as a way to be able to show growth and transformation, right? Because the whole purpose of an addendum, you guys, is first you're acknowledging your shortcomings. Yeah, you know what? I made some mistakes. I dropped the ball, y'all, like straight up. Blew it, messed up seriously. But then it's about that process in your addendum where you're not just talking about the mistakes that you made, but also you're telling them about the lessons that you've learned to ensure that you're not going to make those mistakes. What? Again, right? And so that's really what law schools are looking for specifically in your addendum. Yes, you've made a mistake, but what work have you done to work on yourself to improve on those mistakes? What things have you done since it's been brought to your attention that those are shortcomings that you have to ensure that they don't reemerge again? You see what that is? You got what that is? Right? And so when you go back and look at your addendum, if you're writing one, you have to say to yourself, have I shown them that I've grown since then? I'm not just saying, damn, you got me. Man, I caught that charge. Dang, you got me, man. I got dismissed. Dang, I got academic probation. But what have you done to ensure that it doesn't happen again? Because you don't have to be perfect to be in law school, but you do have to be transparent. And I know a lot of times we may spend years beating ourselves up about our GPAs, beating ourselves up about our imperfect past, but also realize, you guys, is that it's something that didn't break you. And so it's something that actually grew you. It's something that forced you to have to be able to learn about yourself and make some changes. And so share those changes, okay? So Pixie Body said, and started following you. You motivate me on days I don't think it's not going to make a difference. Oh, it's going to make a difference. And I oftentimes tell people that sometimes those challenges that we're going through, Pixie Body, is to help us get ready for law school. It's to help us get ready for finals. And to my law students out there, it's to help you get ready for the bar exam. It's to all help build that toughness and that resilience that you're going to need. Because, fam, the LSAT is just going to be the first step. Then after that, it's going to be finals. Then after that, it's going to be the NPRE, memos. Then it's going to be the bar. Then that's what, Pixie Body, it's going to be your everyday. So you want to make sure. Oh, thanks, sis. Go ahead and see if she can join us. Let's see here. I'm going to send her a thing again, see if she can join us. Here we go. Thanks, sis. I really appreciate it, Mrs. Officer. All right. And so let's keep on rolling with this. All right. Let's see here. So Pixie Body says she made a schedule and she's willing to take, and she's taking it in June. Understand this, you guys. Also, when it comes to the LSAT, man, it's just going to have to be an everyday thing. I know for me, you guys, I went from a 137 to a 129 to a 147 to a 127. I was going all over the map. But oftentimes, the biggest way for you to be able to grow in your LSAT scores, and I'm sure Kay Price, you can attest to this, Crystal Lambert, if you don't hear, you can attest to this, is that the growth you guys from becoming your wrong answers. Now, one of the things I told people, and I jokingly but seriously said it, is that the reason why we don't grow on our LSAT scores, you guys, is because we treat our LSAT like it's our side piece. We don't treat it like the main. We be like, damn, I'm about to go study. Ugh, dang, hate this damn book that I just paid $1,500 for. Dang, I hate this class, right? But I tell people, once we be able to change our mentality and realize that, man, you know what? Once you get to the point where you realize that, hold on, these wrong answers are the biggest blessing in the world. Pixie Body, check this out. Think about this mindset. If I say, man, I'm so happy I got this wrong, because I got it wrong now, I can make sure I don't get it wrong on the test. Let me write this shit down so I don't forget. And that's the mindset I had to start. I had to force myself to do that. So I was like, oh boy, I got all the stuff that I'm messing up on now. Let me record it. So one of the things I did, you guys, is I recorded all my wrong answers. All of them. Literally recorded them with handwritten, and I also recorded them and listened to them. So I listened to them when I was working out. I was listening to them while I was driving, and I was listening to them all the time. I want you guys to make a list of all your wrong answers. And I tell people, you got to make your wrong answers your new bae. Make your wrong answers your new bae. Does that sound corny, Mr. Coleman? Does that sound corny? But think about it, yo. If you make your wrong answers your new bae, that means you're going to learn. What's going on, Alex? Miss you, sis. If you make your wrong answers your new bae, that means that just like you know your boo's and bae's birthday, everything they like, guess what? That's what's going to also happen with your LSAT problems. And that's what helped me finally start to turn the corner. Once I started treating my LSAT like I treated my wife of 20, and now we've done it for almost 20 years, then everything changed. Then I was like taking notes. Okay, all my wrong answers. Yeah, I'm going to study that, study that, study that. And that's what helped for me. Without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get our amazing sister on. She done blessed us on TikTok, blessed us also on IG. Thank fam for you guys reaching out to her. So let's go ahead and get her on so we can catch these blessings and get these acceptances. Come on, sis. What's up? Bloop, bloop. There we go. What it do?
Hi.
How we doing today, sis? I think I don't hear you, fam.
One second. My headphones.
Awesome.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We good.
Okay. Okay, good. Good. My apologies. I got my time zones mixed up. That's totally my fault.
Sis, I get these sounds mixed up so much. I was on your promo. I was like, okay, so she's being thorough, making sure everybody know. Hey, this is when you check in. This is when you check in.
Yep.
But thank you for joining us, sis. You done blessed us on TikTok. You done blessed us on Instagram with your amazing story. And I was like, man, I got to do more than share her opening her acceptance. I got to give this sis the floor so you can share her story. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the fam and let them know who you are. And let's go ahead and get this party going,
Okay.
sis.
Hi, everybody. My name is
She there? Okay. I guess she'll be joining us back in a second. We'll get her back home. We're going to make this happen against our odds, y'all. We always going to make it, right? So let's see if we can get her back home. Okay.
Okay.
There
I'm
we go.
here.
We're back. We're
I
back. There we go.
I don't know. My Wi-Fi says full signal, but we did just have an ice storm here. And so there's like the power's been like on and off. So sorry. Okay. I'll just jump right back in. My name is Aqmera. I am a graduating senior at Portland State University. I am also a Navy veteran. I am a poli-sci major, and I am a proud non-traditional student. So when I say that, I mean I graduated college back in 2013. So I'll be 29 soon. It's coming up. It's creeping up real fast on me. It's creeping up real fast on me. I'll be 29. So that means I'll be 33 when I graduate law school. Um, and I've been really eager to tell my story because for a really long time, I thought that I would never make it.
Mm.
I thought that I was behind. I thought that I was a failure. I had so much negative self-talk about myself because um, all of my friends are either on their way to their master's degrees, have their master's degrees, and I'm just finishing my undergrad. Um, I flunked out of college my first time around. I thought that I was independent and ready for the world, and I just wasn't. Um, so I flunked out, came back home, tail between my legs. I was just really disappointed in myself, and especially being somebody who's always been a high achiever, that was really a shock for me that I did not succeed at this thing that I set my mind to. Um, and so I came back home. Home just was not where I needed to be at all. And I ended up joining the Navy, kind of like on accident. I was supposed to join the Marines, and then that just didn't work out. So the Navy swooped me up. I did 5 years in the Navy, and a big part of my story that I absolutely feel no shame in telling is that I suffered a crazy mental breakdown, and which resulted in me I actually got kicked out of the Navy. And so that was a very, very low point because I just saw every single dream and every single goal and every single aspiration that I have just fly out the window because getting kicked out of the military in general is just it's just not something you want to do. So I was just thinking like, I don't know how I'm ever going to bounce back for this. I don't know what law school would take me. Like I have this now, my past is so dirty. It's so muddied up. Um, and I went through a really low point, and I do have PTSD. So I'm a big advocate for military members, veteran members that are dealing with mental health issues because I know how hard it can get. Um, but God really came through for me. Let me tell y'all, I don't don't care how you worship. I love everybody. I love everybody equally, but me and Jesus are locked in. You see this? We are locked in, okay? I had to go through some really low points for him to show me just how good it can get, and moved to Portland again on a whim, um, and decided to go back to school, and I hit the ground running. I made Dean's List. I became the president of the Black Student Union, or well, not until this year, but I got involved with the Black Student Union. I got involved with our pre-law society. I got involved with our Veterans Resource Center. I just really threw myself into being a college student. Um, and I was determined to hit the just hit it out of the park, because I'm like, okay, I'm in school. I know that I can get into law school. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I just know that if God brought me this far, I know He's not gonna bring me this far just to leave me right here. Like He's not gonna bring me until, like I'm where I need to be. And so, yep, finished the year, and then took the LSAT in April, and I did terribly. I got a 146. I got a 146 my first time, and I was just like, oh, okay. And again, that doubt came in, and I was just like, maybe I'm not smart enough to do this whole law school thing. But mind you, at the time I was working part-time. I was taking 22 credits, so I was taking like 6 classes. And then I was also involved in all these extracurriculars. I was volunteering. So I tried not to knock myself too hard. And when the summertime came, I just decided to make studying for the LSAT my full-time job. So I studied from 9 to 5, and you don't have to do that to get a good score. You really can just study 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours a day, and really see improvement. It's really just about dedication to your studies. So I studied all summer, took the September LSAT, raised my score by 6 points. So I got a 152. And I was going to retake it until I saw a post on Becoming JD that said, all you need is one yes. And I literally, when I tell you I'm about to get that tattoo like across my chest, and it's just going to be my life's motto, because I saw that 152 and I was just like, okay, I got a 152. My UGPA on LSAC is it was a 2.5 at the time. I was just like, man, I'm gonna end up going to like one of these unaccredited law schools and having to transfer. I was just really like, I don't know how far I can get with a 152. But then I saw the post and I was like, you know what? Somebody has to tell me yes. I don't know where I'm going, and I'm not saying I don't care, because I definitely care, but I know somebody has to tell me yes. If I applied to 1,000 schools, 999 can tell me no. But if one school tells me yes, that's
A wrap.
it's a wrap. That's all that I need. Um, so I took that and I ran with it. And I applied to 8 schools, and so far I've been accepted to 4 out of the 8.
Mm.
And I'm just waiting to hear back from my top choice, which is Howard. So if Howard tells me no, then I know where I'm going. Um,
Wow.
I oh, I was gonna say one last thing and I forgot. Um,
Wow.
oh, yeah, so everything that I told you guys is basically um just like a brief synopsis. But if I can give advice to anybody like me, so anybody that has, you've messed up real bad in your past, your grades aren't the best, just anything like that, you have a big gap in education or employment. So like when I flunked out, that's an academic dismissal.
Right.
So that is on your transcripts. So and somebody, I think I just saw somebody comment, I know your personal statement was fire. My personal statement is fire. And that's not me bragging on myself, but that is me realizing that as negative as my story may have started, has basically, I've used it. Um, it's been such a launch pad for me. It's been such, and not just for me, but once I realized that my story is very identifiable and I started posting on TikTok, um, so many people have commented like, oh, I never thought that I was good enough for law school. I never thought that this was possible for me until I heard your story. So you might have a story or a background that you're ashamed of, but that might just be the thing, like that honesty, you taking accountability for where you messed up and the mistakes that you've made, um, goes a long way with admissions counselors. They love when they see people who are like, man, I was really down by the wayside and this is how I turned my life around.
Absolutely.
I had the opportunity to speak with a woman who was a heroin addict. She was a heroin addict and a prostitute for like 10 years. Um, and then uh, I forgot how she said she got off the street, but she is now a criminal defense attorney. And not just some rinky-dink criminal defense attorney, like she works for the Multnomah County Defense League or Association or something like that. And she is one of their top attorneys. And it's because she used her story that some people would look at and be like, how how did you do this? And it's just she's just decided to use her story as a launch pad and to be better. So never ever 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 think that you are not good enough for something. So you might not have the best GPA, you might not have the best LSAT score, but you know, standardized tests aren't for everybody. And maybe not everybody is like a textbook classroom type learner, but you know your stuff, you know you're intelligent. So when you go to apply to these law schools and you go to write your personal statement, pick such a thing in your life that when you look back on that thing and then you look at where you are now, you're like, man, I've come so far. Because I promise you, admissions counselors want to see a drastic improvement. They don't care that you campaigned for your local politics. Well, I'm not gonna say they don't care, but that's typical. Like, oh, I campaigned for this guy, or oh, you know, I worked in this legislator's office. Like, yeah, that's cool, but like, talk about the mission trip that you went on, or talk about the random ride home that you gave to a classmate and that changed your perspective on housing insecurities amongst the youth or something. Everybody has something. Or the time where you got arrested for joyriding with your friends and how that made you want to, I don't know, change the criminal justice system or something like that. Everybody has a story to tell. And when it comes to law school admissions, they want to hear your story. They want to hear how you overcame something because law school is not easy. So if you have a story that shows how you've persevered, and I've been knocked down like bowling pins, and each time it's like that little machine just came and was like, no, we're just gonna reset you. We're just
I
gonna
love
reset you. We're gonna put you back. Yeah. So yeah.
and you guys again, we live in full effect. Hey, sis is dropping some gems, y'all. Sis, so everybody out there, I want y'all to ignore that little voice in your head telling you not to do it. I want you guys to ignore that voice telling you to quit. I want you to ignore that voice telling you that you're not good enough. Fam, sis is doing it. And I know one of the things oftentimes, sis, you remember those nights we used to pray to God and say, why me? Why me? Why have you forsaken me? And I realize now, man, it's just like that all of those are reasons of why you're gonna stand out now. All those are reasons that you can be able to demonstrate your strength and your resilience and why you can be able to go to law school and spend 6 months to take a test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All those
And you know what? I think about all the time that if I would have been a traditional student, if I would have graduated college at, I'm sorry, I'm in like a work share space, and there's this dog. I love dogs. Sorry, y'all. But if I would have been a traditional student and graduated college at 21 and went to law school, I don't think I would have had the same discipline now at 29 that I definitely didn't have it at 21. To make it through law school, to sit and read over contracts and read over case law and read over constitutional law and all this other stuff that I'm going to have to do. Every, so everything happens for a reason. And again, like you might get sick of me saying it or whatever, but God has really positioned me in such a way for such a time as this that I can't even be mad that my journey was how it was. Like I can't even I can't even be like, man, God, why did that happen to me? Like maybe when I was in it, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. But now that like I'm here, it's like that was pure character development. That was something that was mandatory for me to happen, or for it to happen to me.
How,
I'm sorry, I'm
I
reading
want you to
somebody's
well,
comment.
get this. She said it was character. Say that part about character development. Say that
Character,
again.
so all those trials and tribulations that I went through, and in the thick of it, I'm like, God, why is this happening to me? Like, why are you forsaking me like this, God? Now that I'm here, when I look back, that made me who I am. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it really was like textbook character development, textbook, and so necessary to happen.
And again, for you guys,
I'm
we are live in full effect with Aqmera. Her amazing story. Amazing story. This
I just want to reply to.
overcoming it all from going to college, flunking out, going to the Navy, things going left, to being she built herself to the point that now she's got 4 acceptances, dog, and waiting on more to come. 4, 1, 2, 4. But the thing about it, I want you guys to be able to understand is she her story. She owns her experience. A lot of you guys out there are concerned about being accepted or thinking that what happened to you is something to be ashamed of. When really those are examples to show your strength and resilience. And so I know we got a lot of questions in the chat. And so one of the things I want to be able to ask you, and I want you to be able to share, because we know people oftentimes go through a lot of challenges, is where did you draw the barrier in regards to how much to share in either your addendum or in your personal statement? Because I think a lot of people are say this phrase, or they be like, well, I don't want people to feel sorry for me, so I don't want to tell this stuff. And I'd be like, what I tell them, sis, is if they feel sorry for me, that means I haven't told the full story. What I want them to be able to be like, damn, they overcame that. Oh, yeah, we on the squad. We want her. Yeah, her and her. Yeah, let's go. Come on.
mm-hmm,
She a rider for real. And
mm-hmm.
so go about framing it, because I think a lot of people are struggling with that.
So I don't feel shame. I don't know. It's my security in God and where He's brought me that I just don't feel shame. I'm not embarrassed, which is why my whole life story is on TikTok. Um, and so honestly, I think that might have there was so much that I could
Yeah.
share that I didn't mind sharing, because that whole aspect of like, oh, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. Like, I don't care if you pity me, because that doesn't really have an effect on how I view myself or my situation. So I think it's different for every person. But what I will say is there are ways to, I don't want to use the word censor, but I'll use it for a lack of a better word. There are ways for you to tell something very pivotal and vital that happened to you in your life and censor it so that you only tell what you want people to hear. So if you got pregnant in your freshman year of college and you had to drop out, and you were houseless, or you were on welfare, you can just say that oh well, one day I realized that I was expecting and I made the decision to um dedicate myself to my child and to making sure that we were stable. And so I made the decision to leave school, and there were many hurdles that my child and I faced for the next, I don't know, however long it was that you were in this situation. And when I was in the midst of this situation, it seemed like there was no way out until, and then you dive into what that pivotal moment was for you, until I met my best friend of, whatever, and she provided me with the resources that I so desperately needed. And then I was finally able to regain my footing. I was finally able to, really focus on the future. And that's why I want to practice family law, or that's why I want to work with social services or something like that. That's how you pivot that story. And that's how you, like, you don't have to give them every single detail, especially if you're a private person, or if you are a person that is embarrassed by your past, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you can decide how much you want to tell and how much you don't want to tell. Like, it's your story, so you can tell it however you want to.
And just to piggyback on that, thanks, Nancy, for joining us, sis. You know, I'm always going to call you out when I see you join the live. But also, I want you guys to be able to understand this. It's just like, in that transparency, you're showing them the source of your strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, keep it a buck. Law schools have a 44% dropout rate. And 38% of them, guess what, Aqmera? They look like me and you. And so
Mm-hmm.
in our essay, what law schools want to know? Is she going to fold? Is she going to quit?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? By Aqmera sharing her story, they're like, oh, no, this sister, when she get up in here, she emptying the tank. But one of the phrases I oftentimes tell people, sisters, I say, but law schools don't know you. So they ain't going to know what you going to do. And yes, I said ain't. I said it on purpose. They ain't going to know what you're going to do unless you share with them who you are. And that has become so important. So one of the things I wonder for you is, so like, did you write in the law schools?
I had addendums on addendums on addendums.
Right.
I had racks on racks on racks. I had and it was because I'm also an overthinker. I am a chronic habitual overthinker, and the way that my mind works is like, okay, well, I know I mentioned this, I need to explain that further, or I know I mentioned this, but I need to explain that further. And because I knew my GPA and my LSAT score weren't the strongest, I'm like, y'all are gonna get one heck of a personal statement, and I'm gonna write the best addendum you've ever, like, you're not gonna have any questions for me when I get done writing, because I need y'all to understand, number one, how badly I want this, and number two, please don't look at my GPA and my LSAT score and think that, oh, I don't know, because we all know, or if you don't know, standardized tests were never made for Black people. They were specifically made and targeted against us because our educational resources have always been less than. So, which is why a lot of schools don't even need the SAT and ACTs, because those were written for white students in white school districts. They were not written for Black students. But anyway, so I wrote an addendum for my LSAT. So I canceled my April score because I just knew that I knew I could do better, and I didn't want those people knowing that I scored so low. So when I took it again in September, I was ready to go. I meditated in the morning. I did yoga. I put on a real nice outfit. I ate a great breakfast. I was listening to Marvin Sapp on the way to my friend's house, because I took it at a friend's house. Just for everything that could go wrong went wrong. So all the issues, I don't know if anybody's heard of all the catastrophe that the August LSAT was, because they switched to a new system. But that's exactly what happened to me. I got kicked off the test 5 times. My proctor had no clue how to proctor. They accused me of cheating. Um, uh, I had to call LSAC and got transferred, I think, like 6 or 7 times, talked to a bunch of different people about my exam. So an exam that should have taken me 4 hours because I get extra time took me like 6.5. I was there. If you go back on my TikTok and look, I recorded my video as soon as I got home. The look in my eyes was just so, I was dead because I was so tired. So I say that to say, when I got my score and I still managed to raise it by 6 points in spite of all of the obstacles, I put that in my addendum. I said, actually, I can pull it up and I can just read you just a little snippet of it. But yeah, I just mentioned everything that happened. Most law schools only give you a page for your addendum. So you have to, and I feel like that's also like a skill that they're testing you on, is how concisely can you write an argument. Because it's like, okay, well, you already wrote a personal statement. We don't want another 2 to 3 pages of you explaining something to us. Like, just, like, wrap it up. Oh, here it is. But so in my addendum, I basically just highlighted everything that went wrong, but I also highlighted that standardized tests have never been my strong suit. I highlighted my learning type. If you don't know what your learning type is, there's a bunch of quizzes on Google that you can take, that tells you what specific type of learner you are. Is this the addendum?
Did y'all
That's one of
hear
them.
that said? So the first step off Sometimes is you being able to show you what you learned about yourself by finding out your learning type and also being able to utilize the addendum to one to address concerns that people may have. So if they say, but my LSAT, I got an answer. But my GPA, I got an answer. But the gap in my, I got an answer. No room on check it. Leave no room for assumptions. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah. Okay, so I, in my LSAT addendum, I did explain to them that I did take the April LSAT because even though you cancel your score, they can still see that you took it and that you canceled your score. But I wanted to show them that I raised my score by 6 points. Um, and so I said that I basically explained to them everything I just explained to you guys about getting kicked off, about just the system issues and everything. Um, and so what I closed with was I said, dealing with anxiety and ADHD, the precautions that I took to prepare myself for the exam were nullified by the interruptions and issues I had to deal with. I still managed to raise my score by 6 points, gaining a 152. I am certain that without those interruptions, I would have been able to score even higher. Therefore, my LSAT score is not a good predictor of my chances of succeeding in law school. And again, I don't have any shame explaining my mental health issues. If anything, I feel like it's a strength for me because when you hear about veterans with PTSD and with anxiety, you picture people who can't enjoy the 4th of July, or you picture people who can't, who get nervous when, cars start up. And that is the reality for a lot of veterans. However, there are veterans such as myself whose PTSD manifests in different ways. So anxiety is definitely one of them for me. And so I feel like if I can overcome my PTSD and still manage to do everything that I'm doing, like in school and with work and stuff like that, that's a strength. Like that, like you said, that speaks to my perseverance, and that speaks to, if anything, that says more about my chances chances of success in law school than some standardized test does. Um, and so my addendum for my low GPA, because my my college transcripts are deplorable. They're so bad. There's so many F's on there. There's so many C's on there. But from September of 2022 until now, it's been straight A's. So I really wanted to highlight that fact. So in my addendum about my GPA, I talked about, well, since I already talked about how I flunked out of college and the circumstances surrounding that, I highlighted my attempts. At each attempt that I made on going back to college is what I talked about. So the first time I attempted to go back was in the middle of a deployment. So that is, yeah, being deployed and then trying to go to school just did not work out. Just did not work out. And then I talked about the second time I tried to go back and how I was dealing with severe racism from my chain of command while I was trying to do college classes, and how that threw me off kilter. And then so my closing paragraph was, upon leaving the Navy in September 2020, I gained access to mental health treatment and enrolled at San Diego Community College. Although amidst the pandemic challenges, a 40-hour work week, and getting acclimated to my new mental health treatments and focusing on studies proved to be daunting. I started at Portland State University in the fall of 2022 with consistent medical care and the option for part-time on-campus work. My grades improved drastically, landing me on the dean's list for fall of 2022. I present this addendum not as an excuse, but as a way for this admissions committee to see that my previous grades are not indicative of my true capabilities as a student. So in my TikTok video, one of the things that I mentioned was, when you're writing your addendum, never just leave it at where you went wrong. Never just leave it at your mistake. You have to be able to show that, okay, this thing happened, but this is how I bounced back from it. And then I also really try to stress not using your addendums as an excuse, because law school is a graduate school. It's a post-bac school. So they expect you to be a responsible adult by this time. And responsible adults, contrary to popular belief, take ownership and they take accountability. So nobody wants to hear you, respectfully, nobody wants to hear you whine about what went wrong if you're not going to back up with, okay, yeah, this happened and it was bad, but this is how I learned from it. This is how I turned this around. So that's why I wanted to close it with, I present this addendum not as an excuse, but blase blase. So
And
yeah.
that I want you guys to see from what she did in both of those things is, first, one of the things that I'll tell you, one of the things that in order to be successful in law school is an awareness. All right. I become self-aware of what went wrong. All right. I can tell you everything that went wrong. But because I knew everything that went wrong, I know everything I got to do to make it right. And here are the steps of me doing everything to make it right. And so, like she said, and the thing that really sold the schools is, sis kind of low-key said, check my receipts. You don't think I've grown? Check that things list out. Hey. So it's more than just saying, yo, I've changed. I'm good. Where's our proof? And then the other thing is, when she wrote about the addendum, in her addendum about the Elsa, one of the things I thought was so beautiful, maybe you realize you were doing it, but I want you guys also out there to understand, she took the law school behind the curtain to show her process of preparation. This is how I prepare. All right. I did everything that I could to prepare. Same way that I prepared, I raised my score. And if I'm duplicating this process of preparing at your school, and we know the system's not going to be screwed up, I've given you guys the blueprint of what I'm going to do to be successful. And guess what? I still raised my score. And guess what? Hey, y'all, look, I also got the Dean's list. And so one of the things I opened with you, I told him, Aqmera, I said is, literally, your first case as a lawyer, you're representing yourself. And if we can't represent ourselves, we got to first be able to win our case so we can get into law school. And everybody has a winnable case. Do we have to sometimes write addendums? Yeah, but I can you guys how you're able to turn your literal addendum into a huge testimonial to show people how far I've come and how far I've grown. Let me get you to fall in love with my story. And one of the things I tell people, and you tell me what you think about it, is I tell people that our applications are like Netflix shows. Like, literally, we choose on Hulu, Netflix, whatever. We get 30 seconds to review and see if we're going to like it or not, right? And if we like it, we go check out the episode. Episode 1 is our personal statement. Episode 2 is our diversity. Episode 3 is our episode 4 is our letters of recommendation, to go on and on and on. And as they can read more, they become more invested and more invested and more invested before they be like, man, we want her. That's how we get to the acceptance. And so I'm so happy you were able to join us tonight. And I always give you guys the last words, because I tell people that there's somebody out there right now, sis, who's on the cusp of giving up. Maybe they can get the LSAT score they wanted. Maybe got that rejection letter today or this weekend. And they on the cusp of giving up. And I always want to give you guys the floor, because that battle that we have with self-doubt is stronger than any LSAT score that we will ever encounter. And I just want to give you the floor to give some words of encouragement to them, to tell them to keep going.
Man, there's so much I could say. First, you gotta want it. This is not easy. It's not an easy process. It's not the process in itself, aside from the LSAT, is meant to weed people out. So you have to want it. This is not something you can just decide to do on a random Tuesday. So you have to have that desire. That's number one. Number two, on those days where you take a diagnostic test, you are practicing, you're studying, you just cannot seem to get those daggone logic games down pat, and you're just like, man, if I can't get this down, then you need to, that tiny voice, how like you be talking in church and your grandma just come and grab your lips like this. That's what you need to do to that voice in your head, because that voice is nothing but all of your insecurities trying to keep you where you are now. And if you're anything like me, like where I'm at right now is cool, but it does not even compare to where I know I could be. And so it's like, if you're cool with staying stagnant, if you're cool with staying in the same spot, then, but by all means, and enjoy your space. But if you're anything like me, you know that you got some places to be. And in order to get to those places, you need to ignore that voice in your head that is telling you that you're not good enough. You need to ignore those people.
Yeah.
If you have people in your life that are telling you you're not good enough, just punch them in the face. Just ball your fist up, punch them in the face. I'll represent you in court. Don't worry about it. Um, yeah, there is that. That's two. And the last thing is, I'm trying to tell y'all, if there's one thing I can leave y'all with, all you need is one yes. All I'm trying to tell you, really have no clue how those words really changed my life and really resonated with me, because I really was like, maybe this is just not for me. Like, maybe I don't know what I'm gonna do after this, but maybe law school is just not for me. And then I saw that post and I was like, you know what? Somebody has to let me in. So again, you do not need to be a 4.0 student. You do not need to be you do not need a 180. Like, that would be amazing to be able to apply to schools with those kind of credentials, but the fact of the matter is, we just came out of a pandemic. The fact of the matter is, people have lost family members. The fact of the matter is, every time we turn on the news, our politicians are embarrassing us. The fact of the matter is, we are literally at war. Like, we are watching an entire genocide unfold beneath our eyes. So you have all of those stress factors. You have life hitting you from all different sides. And so I can understand how that can weigh you down and make you want to give up. And it might even affect your performance. It might even affect how you perform in school right now. But you do not have to be perfect. You just have to have a dedication and a willingness to succeed. And you have to want this for you. If you're a single parent, or if you are a spouse, or if you are a caretaker, I know you might have family as like oh, my family is my motivation. That's cool and all. You have to want to do this for yourself. And everybody else has to come second. Even your kids, your spouse, your partner, your whoever you're responsible for financially, keep them in the back of your mind. And then the front of your mind needs to be the life that you want to live for yourself and the type of person that you want to be. Everybody else is second, because if you put your motivation in another person and then something happens to that person, now you've lost your motivation.
Yeah.
But if you put it in yourself, if you put that same dedication into yourself, I mean, you can't lose yourself. You're stuck with you until you die. And if you are a believer, and I'll make it universal, regardless of what your faith is, regardless of what your belief system is, just know that something greater than you created you for a purpose. And that purpose was not to struggle. That purpose was not to not reach your ultimate potential. You were not meant to stay at this level for the rest of your life. Whatever higher being that you put your faith into has plans for you that you can't even comprehend. I'm trying, if I could get to a pulpit right now, I'm trying to tell y'all.
That you preaching.
So find comfort in that. Find comfort in that you are this big in the grand scheme of whoever you believe created you's plan for yourself. So it's like, when one thing goes wrong, just know that this is a part of the plan. And please do not let one bad day, one bad practice test, one bad grade, don't let those things be like, oh, well, that's it. Oh, well, that's it. Guess I got to give up. Because that's if anything, that's a test. You're going to look at that bad thing, that bad situation, that bad grade, that bad practice test. You're going to be like, okay, I can either crumble, or I can use this to, okay, I got to push harder. Okay, I got to study longer, or okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. So yeah, if anybody has questions on study material, because I saw a couple pop up on this live, I swear by 7 Sage. I'm sorry. And not only is it affordable, but the instructor who does all the videos breaks it down. No nonsense, no frills. I have used the LSAT trainer by Mike Kim, but I'm just not a textbook person, so that didn't really work out for me. But yeah, but I mean, it's like $60 on Amazon. So if you are a textbook person, the LSAT trainer has a lot of good material. Khan Academy is absolutely free. but I didn't really like how they didn't really explain it well for me. So I didn't really like Khan Academy, but maybe if you're using Khan Academy and you're also like, I don't know, watching some explanation videos on YouTube, um, I know that LSAC has a host of services that you can use once you sign up for an LSAC account. If you have not applied for the LSAC fee waiver, I need y'all to go ahead and do that because that's free material right there. That's free applications. That's free access to the CAS system, which is a $90 fee in itself. And then if you have an LSAC fee waiver, you can get 7Sage for $1. You get access to 7Sage for a year for $1 if you have the LSAC fee waiver. And then if you have a fee waiver, there's a whole slew of programs that LSAC has that are specifically for their fee waiver applicants. So that's that. I'm trying to think of what else. Uh, follow. So if you spend all day scrolling on TikTok, turn that mindless scrolling into pointless or into impactful scrolling. There are so many content creators who go over LSAT questions, who do like free LSAT live videos on their TikToks, or on YouTube. There's so much free material because I know how expensive it can get. At one point, I did pay like $1,000 for study material. That's before I knew any better. That's before I found out all these free hacks. So do your research. There's so many resources out there. There are so many law firms that have like pro bono clinics where they'll give you a scholarship. They'll pay for your LSAT prep courses. And yeah, okay, yeah, that's it.
All right. I was about to close off, but we got to ask this one question from Queen Monty. She said, do you recommend people who are vets or currently serving mention their military experience within their personal statement?
Well, the world. I know that the state of the world right now kind of makes it so that
I know the state of the world right now kind of makes it so that like mentioning military service or that you're a veteran might be dicey depending on where you are. However, with the overturning of affirmative action, when you get to those, so a lot of schools have changed it from like, oh, diversity statements. Now they want to know like some big thing you've overcome.
Right.
Boot camp in itself is a huge deal to overcome. I know we lost like 10 people who dropped out our first 2 weeks in. So that's something you can write about. If you've ever been deployed, you can write about that. Just the process of being away from your family for however long you were in. Or again, if you have kids in your active duty, like you can talk about that. You can talk about how your military experience has elevated you to a place where the average person isn't going to be. Like the time management, the organizational skills, the team working skills. That's a skill that not a lot of people have. I know it sounds very basic, but not a lot of people know how to work in a team. Not everybody knows how to think critically and how to, pivot a bad situation like that. But they teach us that in the military, or you learn that when you're in the military. So I would 100% mention it, especially with the overturning of affirmative action. If you are a minority, we need every leg up that we can get. This is not to negate anybody else who may not be a minority and they're watching this. Use your military experience either way, but for minorities, like that's just something else that helps us. So,
And just to piggyback on it, that's nice. That's something that separates you from a whole bunch of other applicants. And so at all costs, you want to always be able to say, what are some things that I could be able to showcase my strength and resilience? And sharing that military experience is a great way to do that. Surviving boot camp and being able to do something and press forward is a huge thing to demonstrate, to show law schools, hey, if I did that, I think I could do law school. Just a guess, I could do. And so, sis, first tell them where they can find you on Instagram and also follow you on TikTok.
yes. So I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yep. So all of my social media handles are essentially Aqmera. So my Instagram and my TikTok are essentially Aqmera. My TikTok is where I post most of my like law school admissions advice. My email is also essentially aqmera@gmail.com. So if you want me to look over your personal statement or your addendums or anything like that, you can email me there. But I'm still in school. I am involved in several organizations, and I do work, and I am taking a full course load. So I ask that if you do email me or get me, that you give me like 2 to 3 business days to get back to you. Don't think that I'm ignoring you, because I'm not. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not, well, I am bougie, but I'm not a celebrity, so I'm not ignoring you. I will get back to you. Yeah.
And so again, I want to welcome you, Aqmera, to the tribe. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. You guys, listen, this is the proof. She asked you guys to reach out to her if you have questions. That voice in your head, what she said, we gonna knock that mother out, right? We're gonna do this. And you guys continue to fight for your dreams. We're going to, of course, load up this replay. It's going to be available, of course, on Instagram. And also we're going to put it on our YouTube channel as well. So, guys, keep fighting. We're rooting for you. She's rooting for you. You're not alone in this journey. We'll see you guys again next Wednesday. And again, sis, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Of course. Thank you. Bye, everybody.